Hello, and welcome back to I think this is the 22nd episode. The 22nd, we're going to get into that, the 22nd episode of the Nobody Asked for This podcast. Hope everyone had a great week. And by week, I mean whatever year you're listening to this in. It could be 2026, it could be 2028, it could be 2020 never. I hope you've had a good past 7 days. We have a very special episode this week because for the first time in several many episodes, I'm not talking to myself. I have set up some sort of professional system. We are on a business-based app. And I say we. I know I say we a lot, but there actually is a we this episode because I have my first guest, kind of. Please welcome. How would I describe you? Um, you've been a podcast host. You've been a civil servant. You've been a student, a
Mm-hmm.
graduate, a One Direction fan, slightly in denial that their hiatus is, you know,
Rude.
being lifted. We have returning to the podcast, Kata. Yeah,
I'm back.
she's back. So anyone, all of the legions of fans who have joined us in the last few months, um, if you listen to the first few episodes, which you should, because they're probably some of our best, you would know
Well, yeah, I was probably the part that was the best.
our guest here. Please introduce yourself or reintroduce yourself to the people. Say hello.
Hello, I'm back. Did you miss me? If you didn't miss me, well, sucks for you because I'm back anyway.
Okay, I have to ask you this, and you can be honest. Please rank your top five episodes um since your departure. I know it's gonna be really hard to rank because you've obviously listened to all of them at least twice.
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
Um, I
I'm
don't know
really
how much the
nervous.
audience knows about my departure, but I had a little mentee beat, a little mental breakdown.
It happens. It's relatable.
Um,
I just have those
and
on a microphone every week. But yes,
pretty much since I've been in Europe.
she's overseas.
Because like any good modern day girl boss woman slay queen, I ran away from my problems.
Yeah. Now,
I
did they
booked it.
find you? Is the question.
I booked a 9 hour flight, and I cannot say that I've listened to very many episodes.
Okay, very many or zero. It's fine. It's just, it's honesty hour.
I'm trying to be
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Do you have you at least subscribed?
Of course, I
Okay,
subscribed
when you were
when
on.
I was on the show.
Okay, perfect.
I
Well,
rated it 5 stars.
yeah. At
I've
least you
been
didn't go in
promoting
and
it to
change.
all my Finnish friends.
That's good. Yeah, she's actually in closer to the land of our fan base, which if anyone who doesn't remember or had never heard before, our podcast actually went, I think it was number 457 on the comedy, specifically the comedy podcast charts in Finland. Now, since you've been gone, I can't wait for the
Did we
fall.
fall?
We did so we fell pretty much immediately. We belly flopped immediately after we charted. It was only that one day. It was a good day, but it was a 1 day limited event. We've
Mm-hmm.
been contemplating I'd love to get your thoughts on this, a genre change, because I just feel like
Okay.
the comedy podcast charts are just really inundated with actual like comedians and famous people.
But
So we looked
yeah.
down the list, and again, I keep saying
Hmm.
we as if there's anyone else involved in this.
You mean
We
the
looked
giant production team that you've actually like completely fired and then rehired new
and then
ones because
rehired.
the
Yeah.
original ones were horrible?
There's been a lot of TMZ
That one
articles.
production assistant was so stupid.
And who leaked all my information, who leaked my
You might
dressing room
have to
list.
cut this out. I don't know if we
Yeah.
can. Well, ask the legal team if we can leave this in.
Yeah. Well, we fired them too, so we have to hire.
We can do the
I'm
legal
just gonna
team.
do it myself.
Well, yeah, we took intro to Canadian law.
Yeah. And I almost took the LSAT once, so I mean pretty much.
Exactly. We have
Same
a friend
idea.
that took the LSAT, so maybe she can do it for us.
Yeah, we'll just send it her way pro bono, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was thinking we would rebrand to either Leisure. That's actually an actual podcast like
What's a
genre.
leisure podcast?
I don't know, but I don't think many people know, which is I'm hoping means that not many people consider themselves that.
I feel like it's something that the South Rock moms would enjoy.
They would enjoy that. I also think spirituality, because we talked about manifesting once.
Mm-hmm.
Although that I feel like is probably on the rise a little bit. So maybe
Mm.
not that. And there was one other like a miscellaneous category that I thought,
Oh, speaking of spirituality,
yeah,
I got stopped by
you
a
found
Utah
Jesus
Mormon,
in
like I in Germany.
oh
Like I was on the train, like one of the subways,
yeah
and this man comes up to me and is like saying something in German. I'm like, sorry, like I don't speak German. And he's like, oh, are you American? And I'm like, I hate when people ask me that. So I'm like, no,
yeah. Wait, if you
I'm
if
not.
you leave if you leave North America as a Canadian, are you American to every other person like on the different continents?
Well, yeah, because they just assume that because of my accent,
Yeah.
which I'm
A
I'm like a bit oot and a boot.
No, if I went somewhere and they told me where's your accent from, I would think I would just fall over because I've always wanted an accent. And to think that I have one, like
Well, we
just how
all
like I
have.
always wanted braces, I always wanted glasses, like I always wanted like a retainer, like to think that I always could get like an accent that I always wanted is a thing of beauty.
Well, you have an accent. It's
No, I
just
know.
because of like you're surrounded by people with the same accent, you don't think you have one.
Yeah.
But anyway, every time someone asks me if I'm American, I'm like, no, I'm from Canada.
But you are North American.
Yes, but I don't want to be associated with those people down there. No offense to all our American
Yeah. We
fans.
love you too. But I
Anyway,
mean, yeah.
segue
They should
back to the
vote. I
Mormon.
think we should encourage them to vote.
Oh, I
Even though I
think the
think it's
election
over.
was over. If you didn't vote, please vote in the next election.
Yeah. There's
Your
always hope,
country is
Jack.
going to hell because no one is voting. They're taking away your basic human rights. Anyway,
Big
enough of my
yikes.
spiel. This Mormon, and he was like trying to ask me. He's like, "Can I ask you some questions?" And I'm like, "You know what? Sure. Like this is a. I have a couple more stops to go. Might as well entertain myself."
Yeah, no,
And
that
like,
was nice. Human connection.
he's like, "Well, like, do you want to come to like my Bible study?" And I was like, "I'm actually on the train to go to one of the like um big trains so that I can leave this place." But it was nice talking to you, sir. And he gave me his card.
So that was the conversation.
Yeah, and he like asked me what I knew about Utah Mormons, and I was like, enough. Or sorry, Latter Day Saints, LDS.
Yes. No, yeah.
Anyway, to segue back, we're going to the spirituality podcast.
Well, we're thinking about it, and actually, this conversation is adding to our criteria, our
This
credibility.
conversation is going to be hell for you to edit because it's been all over the place
No,
in
I
every
actually think we're
different
good.
direction.
I actually think you're good. I mean, here's the thing: the people that listen to this, my mom, who I found out hasn't been as consistent as she used to be.
She's not been doing her homework.
No, not as much. Which we're gonna we'll give her a break. But they're not used to much editing. So even if I edit this a little bit, I could even do what like the fancy podcasts do, what they put like music in between the
Mm,
segments.
mm-hmm.
You know what doesn't make sense?
Or put an ad.
Do you ever listen ads? They'll be in the middle of a sentence and it'll switch to
Mm-hmm.
like Casper.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be like, so I was actually going to that, and if you get a
Headspace.
Casper mattress, it's like that's a bit it's a bit confusing.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's like a tactic behind that. Actually, speaking of my mom hearing this podcast, I fear that she is hearing it right now because currently, as you record this, it is 1:23 in the morning for me, and you're in the Europes.
It's 10:23
It's
for
it's
me.
it's 2023. So if I sound like I'm whispering, which I have hasn't been a problem in the past episodes because I have such a loud, annoying, nasally voice, that is why. So if this turns into like a little bit of ASMR, please forgive.
I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah, we've
I
talked about
hate
this before.
ASMR.
I didn't have that chip. God didn't put that chip
Mm-mm,
in my brain. But that's
mm-mm.
something we could talk about on another spiritual episodes.
Or like people who listen to like waterfall sounds or white noise. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't like it. Give
No.
me some music.
Like don't I'll listen to the TLC waterfalls,
Well, of
fall
course.
asleep. Do you normally fall asleep with like an AirPod in?
Um, yes and no. It depends where I am.
I normally do, and I think I broke my AirPods. Not fully, but they're like so quiet. Because like I'll have them in, and I think I'm like kind of like a restless sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they fall out, and like land. I wake up, and they're like I'm like lying my whole
Oh,
body weight on top of them.
I've woken up and they're by my feet.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't get it. Why do my
Oh.
AirPods work? They're like broken. And if it's not that, it's the mountains of earwax. I have an earwax problem. I've been trying to get an ear, nose, throat doctor
Mm-hmm.
to like send me some advice. It hasn't happened yet. Go to podcast nobody asked for this.podbean.com. In the comment section, you can contact me. I do also have to issue some sort of an apology or some sort of a press release because I have been incorrectly reciting the podcast website name for at least the past 15 episodes. It is not podcast dot nobody asked for this.podbean.com. It's just podcast nobody asked for this.podbean.com. So
Oh.
if we don't win a Webby this year, I'm gonna assume it was because of that. Like everyone was going to the wrong link.
I have a question for all the viewers,
Yeah. I'll
listeners,
answer as a viewer.
subscribers. I wonder if any of them thought that we had some crazy friendship blow up, like some other podcast that shall not be named.
Yeah.
Although I do really enjoy it, because there's
Where
a
where the
lot of
crawdad sings,
mm,
craw her daddy.
may or may not be the number
Yeah.
one podcast on Spotify or whatever,
Yeah.
the biggest Spotify podcast deal.
Well, second to us. We turned it
Second
down,
time.
but they did offer. They're
Yeah,
like,
like do people think we had like that kind of blowout?
yeah, like we can't be in the spirituality category if we're like practicing gluttony. Sorry. Oh, do people think we had a blowout? You know what? I have to look back and see. First of all, this is a fake conversation because no one listens. But if there were people, I have to remind the people every once in a while, like I don't actually think people listen to this, but it sounds better if you talk like they do.
Oh yeah. It's
I
called
I
fake it till you make it.
I have to look back at whatever I said. The reason for your leaving was. I think I was vague enough, but like I wasn't like because it was your truth,
Mm.
but I wasn't like we've got like it was very. I mean, it seemed
Well,
very
that's why people
amicable,
might assume the worst.
right? People
Anyway,
assumed the worst.
to speak my truth, to set the record straight, we're still friends. I
Yeah,
just had a mental
we stayed
breakdown.
friends the entire time, and it was all good. And I'm glad that you
Exactly.
are right there. You're here today.
I'm back. I never left, but I'm
Yeah,
back.
you're back. Okay, I actually have a question about your European travels because, as the people might know, I am not the most well-traveled person. I've been to like Kelowna once. Actually, no, a few times to Kelowna. And for people who don't know, that's like probably 3 hours from me. Um, I think I've probably been, I haven't really been out of the continent, and by not really, I mean ever. So just a couple questions. What is the fast food situation in Europe? Because that's like what I really want to know.
Surprisingly, Burger King is like a thing here.
Oh, Burger King's the one that made it.
Like, for reference, like where we live, there's like maybe like two Burger Kings in like a 30-minute radius from us.
And they're never open, especially if you go at 10:47 to get a Whopper. You won't get a Whopper. You might get a view of someone peeing behind the drive-through bin.
Whereas like here, literally I was walking in the old town in Stockholm, like the
Ye
old part of
old.
town, and there was a Burger King. And I was like, what the hell?
Did they
I'm
have
like,
the
at
green
least give me a
Whopper?
McDonald's.
Did you go, because you were in Germany during October, did you go to the, what's that called? October, but they spell it with a K.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah, did you do that?
Fun fact, Oktoberfest is actually mostly in September,
That's
right?
that's shocking. Why?
I I did not go because the part of Germany I'm in isn't that huge on Oktoberfest, and there's only one, and it's like really friggin' expensive.
That's not good. But you apparently like you go and drink beer and eat sausage or something.
Yeah.
Do you have to dress
I
up?
Yes, that's like a big thing. And the costumes, like cultural costumes, like outfit, they're
Yeah.
quite expensive. And I don't have money for that. I don't have a job right now. The only money I'm getting
It's
is
from this
the
podcast.
is from this podcast.
The residuals. No,
I'm
I think
still
we got a GST.
cashing those checks.
Yeah. Yeah. From the I did think about that one day. Like if I ever again, this is not gonna happen, but if I ever had to sell like these episodes, like I would have to go through and be like, okay, you would get half of the first, like I would have to break it down to just
Yeah,
so much math involved. But I would, do you know what? You can just have all of the first five, I think, or five or six.
bless.
That can be your yeah, that can be your commission.
I can have a whole $3.
Yeah, three and a half. But yeah, so any like, is this the longest you've been? Because you've been gone for like quite a while. Is this the longest you've ever been out of the country?
Yes.
Do you have any tips for extended travel?
Get a SIM card. Data plans in Europe are so cheap.
Do you think
And
it's
like
yeah? Explain to the people the data
and
plans.
like not having a phone or like access to the internet, like even like Google Maps is crippling when you're traveling.
Yeah, because you don't know where you are. How are you
Or
supposed to know
like
the nearest Burger King?
Google Translate is my best friend. Google Translate, please sponsor me because I use you pretty much every day.
Do you like are you pretty much fluent in German now?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Nine. Phone plans are so cheap here. Like back at home, I think I pay like $67 a month or something.
Mhm.
Or actually might be less now that I paid off my phone, but something like that.
You should have leased
Um,
out your current phone plan
but then
to
I wouldn't
someone here. They
I
get all
would
your
need to like,
texts.
yeah, leave my SIM card, whatever. Um, and I mean, it is kind of ridiculous. Like, I got a really good plan where I get like 20 gigabytes of data.
Your current plan.
Yeah.
At Kudo sponsor us, please.
Um,
Honestly, don't even
whereas,
sponsor us. Just pay my phone bill. That works.
whereas here for 12.99, like €12.99, I get 6 gigabytes of data, unlimited talk and text.
I actually think it would be cheaper to pay for that plan and then just pay the roaming charges when you're back here.
Yeah, maybe.
We should look into that. We'll have our legal team check. Running out of
So
time. Oh, this will not do. Meeting will end in 10 minutes. Absolutely not.
yeah, we're
I,
gonna have to
should I
restart.
upgrade? One sec.
No, don't pay for it.
Oh no, but maybe there's like a free trial situation. Quick, make an email. Ooh, $20 monthly? Okay, 67. Okay, do you know what I hate? I hate when they give you the option to pay annually, but they don't make it clear that you're paying like $400 one time.
Yeah.
It's like it's like so much it's like oh they because they show you like the per month price
Hmm.
and then you go to check out and it's like why is my total $700?
Yeah, it's kind of speaking of free trial, shout out to Selena Gomez for giving 2 free months of Apple TV so we can all watch her new documentary.
Um okay, first of all, shout out if you're shouting out people who gave you free Apple TV, didn't I give you my free trial like 3 years ago?
No, you gave me my free trial.
Oh yeah. See, so she okay, so when Apple TV Plus came out, which I'm really losing it with all these acronyms. Every or not acronyms, but these like it's like something plus
Yeah.
something. It's like can we just not? But when Apple TV Plus came out, you got a new phone that year from the money that the government gave you because COVID.
Shout out True Daddy.
Trudeau bought you a new phone. It was so nice of
Hmm.
him. And
And it's still
I was like,
kicking.
Kata, sign up for Apple TV Plus. There's all these shows that like you need to watch. And she was like, no. I'm like, it's
Here's the
free. You
thing
literally
about
have to
me.
click buttons. If it's more than two steps,
Here's the thing about me. Like, if it's not something that I want to do myself, I'm so lazy and I won't do it.
that's fair. I mean, it happens.
So Francesco, being the best friend that he is,
I was like, give me
literally
your
like
phone.
took my phone, did it for me, even put in his credit card information because I had nothing set up. And that's the story of how I credit card frauded him and used his credit card to pay for everything on my phone for months.
Oh, I forgot about that. This is not something that's good to put out there. Like, you could rob me blind, and I'd be like, I
Do you
would not
remember?
notice.
Do you remember when I texted you and I was like,
Probably not.
just go, I used your credit card to pay for a astrology app on my phone. And you were like, what the hell?
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah. Didn't you get, I didn't care that it was my credit card. I cared that you paid
For an astrology.
for like an astrology app. Like, I didn't understand.
Oh,
But
I
again,
was
if it gets us on the spirituality charts.
I was on my X Games mode back then. God.
I know I should have said this in the introduction. You also are like a TikTok viral person. Tell the
I
people
have
what's your most viral.
I think it's like 80,000 views, but this was like 2 years ago. This was
Yeah.
2020.
One sec. I'm just trying to figure out how to do this. I think I might have a free. I got
We love a free trial.
$140. What the hell? Okay, pro. I don't want to do annual. Okay, now I'm buying two Zoom subscriptions. That's cool. Start checkout. Okay, anyway,
What's it?
let's see. I think it's like 20. Okay,
It's a
here's.
tax write-off. It's for work.
No, it is a text. Can I do that, or do you have to actually make money off of what you're
I
doing?
think you have to have a business account.
Shoot. Yeah, I need an LLC.
Yeah.
Nobody asked for this. Okay, we're just gonna do this together. I'm creating an account on Zoom, and you know how it's like it gives you a drop-down menu for the number responses?
Yeah.
For the year of birth, the earliest you can say you're born is 1902. Like
All right.
Queen Elizabeth couldn't even. And we'll get to her, so we don't have to bring her up too early. But
She wasn't over 100.
no, that's my point. Like, no one that would be working Zoom was born in 1902. Like, they just weren't.
Oh.
But I'm going to figure this out. We'll probably have to edit around this particular part. Okay, this is
I
my
can
name.
sing. The monkey's got my collarbone, the dress routine, telephones,
Actually, do you know what this would be a great time for? This next segment, I feel like will be driven home by you, so I can let you kind of go off to the races on this one.
like,
Um, this is the content recap. A part of my not incentive, but how when I had my assistant reach out to you, I was like, okay, this saying that we can talk about this might we'll get a quicker response. We might get a yes faster. And you were very generous to come on here. Um, would you like to talk about one of your content recaps of the last couple weeks?
oh my goodness, so much content has been consumed by me,
Yes.
but probably, yeah, arguably the two biggest pieces of content I have been consuming have been produced by the one, the only Jack Antonoff. His brain.
We took a left. This is not what I thought was happening, but yes, go for it.
Oh, but we're gonna segue back. First, I would love to give a quick shout out because I've re entered my 1975 phase. Jack Antonoff produced their new album, Being Funny in a Foreign Language. It's incredible. The 1975 is just mwah.
I don't want somebody, but I want to but you. Is that one?
Yes,
Like not that album, but that song.
that that band, yes. And Jack also co-produced something that I've been listening to nonstop for weeks. Midnights by Taylor Allison Swift.
Doctor. She's a doctor now, right?
Yes, she does have a honorary PhD from NYU.
Can she actually use that? Like, can she show up somewhere and be like, listen, I'm a doctor,
Well, like it's a PhD,
but like it's honorary, which not to take away from, like, I've just always wondered about that.
but like for a PhD, like the only thing it's good for is doing research or teaching at a university.
Right. That's true. Okay, sorry, continue.
Anyway, Midnight's is so good.
Okay, can I say
Um,
something? Not to make this
you
about
don't,
me. I listened to it once, and I really do think that music, like when you listen to it the first time, you can't really digest it.
yeah.
It's not like food. Food, I sit down at Olive Garden, I order something new off the menu. I know in an instant, do I like it, do I not? You do have like a 24-hour window, maybe 48-hour window to see how your bowels react to it,
Mm-hmm.
see if there's a gut date produced, which can affect your
Mm-hmm.
ranking. But I think with music, it takes a while. So
Yeah.
I didn't give it the while. I listened to it the first time and I was like, oh, this sounds like a song I've heard before. Oh, this sounds like the last song. Oh, there's synth in this one. Oh, this one is yeah, yeah, ooh, more synth. Oh, they decided to open with synth. It was a lot of the same, but don't hate me to the Taylor Allison fans because I'm sure
Swifties.
yeah, I'm sure that if I let it digest, I would like it, and I'm sure it's great and all of that. So
Question. Did you listen to Midnight's or did you listen to the 3 a.m. version?
I listened to both.
The 3 a.m. like really,
Is more of what her last couple ones were. Yeah.
but here's the, yeah, I think people were just expecting something more along the lines of Folklore and Evermore, whereas Midnight's like really did cycle back to 1989 Reputation and Lover, where she did use a lot of synth.
Yeah. It was very much synth.
It was like if you took the like production and the music from those albums and then use like the lyrical genius from Folklore and Evermore. Although I
I think it
love
was
Taylor,
this was a little bit less lyrical genius. I'll say it so you don't have to.
I know I love Taylor Swift, but sometimes I do forget that she's a millennial woman and she's
She's
gonna
a little
write
cringe.
lyrics. She's gonna write lyrics like "Karma is a cat purring in my lap because it loves me,"
Is that an actual
which,
line?
which if she's being ironic and being funny, genius. If she's being serious,
Genius.
millennial.
What
Because
makes that millennial?
it's so cringy.
What's the word people use? It's like no, it's a word and it's like when you're doing something that's
Chuggy.
Sugi. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is
I
that
was
the
gonna
problem?
I was gonna say it's like chutney.
I thought it was you walking through the door when you murdered your father, didn't you, Chutney?
Anyway, the word
Also
is
a
chuggy.
delicious jam.
Mhm.
So do you have so like did you like it first listen? Did it take a while? Do you think you're going to be on your Spotify
Okay,
Wrapped?
so I listened to it for the first time. It was literally like 6 in the morning because she didn't release
Because
it
she
at
did you
midnight
dirty. Yeah.
my time, like I thought she was going to. So it was like 6 a.m. I was actually getting ready to get on a train to go to Stockholm. And so I was listening to it. I was so tired. I did not sleep the night before. It was so early. I put it on, I was listening. I'm like, this is too much for 6 in the morning. I'm like, this is like, I want to dance, I want to rave, whereas like I'm still like kind of half asleep. So I was like, you know what? Like it's decent, but like I'm like this, I don't think this is my new favorite album.
Yeah.
And then I got on the train. I literally just listened to it on repeat. And I was like, okay, okay. I was like adding my favorite songs.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to it almost exclusively ever since. So that's all you need to know.
So did you have a ranking of not the songs, but like is it your favorite or is it like third? Is it sixth? Is it 11th?
I don't think it's cracked my top three. I would have to sit down and like do some
Meditate and
introspective
do spirituality.
thinking and do redo my Taylor ranking because I haven't done that.
Yeah, I mean she has been adding rather many options to that ranking.
Well, yeah, I was just
Like
reading
she
somewhere
needs
that
to
like
slow down.
since her last tour, like she's released 4 albums.
Oh, did you want to make a plea for tickets for that? I mean, it's not gonna hurt.
Oh my God, Taylor, please, thank you so much for adding a second Seattle show for all us Vancouverites who are gonna go to the Seattle show because you're not coming to Canada. I would just like to talk about why do artists hate Canada? Nobody is coming to Canada, and if they are, they only go to Toronto.
I will say, normally they'll for sure go to Toronto. They 80% of the time come here, but like imagine you live in like Manitoba.
But lately they have not been coming here.
Lately they haven't been coming here and I don't know why. It
Yeah,
makes
I
no
feel bad
sense.
for everyone who lives in any province other than BC and Ontario because you've probably never seen anyone live.
And we can get to Seattle. We haven't yet, but we could.
Yeah.
It is possible. And then the poor people in Seattle are like, why are these Oregon people and the Vancouver people taking all my tickets?
Yeah.
It is quite yeah. So Taylor, if you're listening to this, honestly, just even one free ticket, and then
I'll go
you,
by myself.
but like you, whoever you could go with, just be like, or maybe you could like split their ticket because obviously you would
Oh yeah,
want like
yeah.
front stage. Yeah, like she'll take what we can get, maybe like a Ticketmaster voucher,
Like
whatever.
I'll even take a seat in the nosebleeds. Like I mean, of course I'd love to be front row,
Yeah,
but like I'll
look,
sit outside the stadium if I have to.
just with headphones, watch a live stream. This is the most important question. Do you think? Because how does I am an Apple Music person, not to disappoint everybody, but do you think I don't know exactly how Spotify works, but do you think it's been out long enough to get into your thing that they send
I
you?
don't know
Your
because
year in review?
historically my Spotify Wrapped historically um it ends on Halloween on October 31st, but this year Spotify literally tweeted that they're extending it so no one knows when it is ending or if it's already ended.
Yeah, because I've heard in the past that's like a like people freak out and they're like, oh shoot,
But I think
got to start
about
listening to good music. It's like a
like
threat.
since that album has been out, the amount of trains that I've been on where I've exclusively been listening to Midnights, I think depending on when the Spotify Wrapped ends, like on what the cutoff date is,
Hmm.
there is a good chance that it might have like cracked it.
Yikes. I mean, we'll be waiting with bated breath to find out. We would love to have an update on that.
I'll send you a screenshot. You can post it on Instagram,
Yeah, perfect. Yeah,
on our
our
socials.
socials.
Yeah, you need like some social media
I
interns.
know. I mean, I'm already in the reds with the Zoom purchase that I just did. It went through, by the way. We don't have to
Oh,
restart a thing.
we've
We
been
we
in the reds.
we've been in the red. So it's really we're comfortable here. We live
Stream
here.
Red, Taylor's version.
Do you have any other Taylor related stories, or have we gotten that off our chest?
Taylor, no.
Okay, because
Content to continue the content recap.
yeah, do you have anything?
I've been reading a lot. Shout out to Kindle Unlimited because I've been reading
Were you here
a
when I had
lot.
my reading month? I read like 8 books. I think it was September. I read 8 books. I talked about it on the podcast. It was bad. I don't know why. And each book was like more mediocre than the last. I was like, oh, this was fine.
I
It,
actually saw this tweet the other day that said you read one good book and then you read like 10 books to try to find the same high from that book.
and it just doesn't happen.
And it doesn't happen.
Do you have that thing with a book where you'll hate it at the time and then like 6 months you'll be thinking about it and you're like, oh, I actually liked that book. Or
No, I'll have the
you
opposite.
liked it, and then 3 months later you're like, that sucked.
I'm like, I don't even remember anything that happened, so it must not have been very good.
Right. Well, I haven't read any books this month, but if while we're on the topic of books, if you want to just, anything in particular that you liked, that you want to recommend, that you want to tell people to banish from the forest.
Um, well, I did pre-order It Starts With Us, probably back in like the spring, and it showed up to my house in Canada. And my mom was like, "What the did you order?" Oops, sorry. You'll have to believe
If
that.
we could believe that's, it's actually, I mean, for the length of time we've gone, for that to be the only one, we're good. We have the
And
budget for that.
I was like, "Oh yeah, I pre-ordered that like months and months ago before I even knew that I was going to be gone right now." And so I have
Yeah,
a
because
copy waiting for me at home. And then I also bought a copy on my iPad so that I could read it right when it came out.
for whatever reason, like there is an attack on this just the TikTok people to have a
Book talk.
book talk. I feel like all the book talk people probably like the Tay Tay albums. So like to have a Tay Tay
Mhm.
album and what's the book?
Oh,
It ends with
this
us. It was a busy
has
week.
been Um, this has been a busy couple of weeks for annoying people who like Colleen Hoover books, Taylor Swift, the 1975, Harry Styles. He released two movies.
Arctic Monkeys. Oh,
Um,
we'll get to him.
Arctic Monkeys.
He's on the
Basically,
list.
everyone who was or not most likely everyone who was a Tumblr girl in 2014 and was that brand of annoying, we're all now in our 20s
You were
and we're
given
still those annoying
time.
girls. People, sorry, don't want to gender people. We're still those annoying people. And now it's like all this stuff is coming right back around. Ergo,
You're being
I'm back
fueled.
listening to the 1975, which I don't think I've done exclusively since I was like 16 or 17.
Hmm. It's a lot, love.
So
So,
it's been a rough, or not rough, I guess we've been blessed, we've been eating, but it has been a tumultuous time for us annoying people.
I mean, what's he gonna do? Q4 is usually pretty busy. It ends with that, or it starts with us. Would you recommend it? Would you not? Like, what
I
was your
thoroughly
thoughts?
enjoyed it,
As someone
but
who bought two copies.
I like the first book. I think it depends what kind of person you are. Like if you are the type of person who read it ends with us and you're like, I want Lily and Ryle to be together, you're up, you need therapy, do not read this book because it is happy.
Okay. I see. I don't
as
know what
someone
any of this means.
as someone who like that first book made me bawl my eyes out. I was crying. The second one was just like the nice little like happy ending that I wanted.
Okay, can I just say, as someone who I have very little knowledge of what these books are about, but from the titles, you would think it starts with us is a prequel
You would
to
think,
it ends with
yes.
us. Like, so you're telling me this is a sequel,
Yes. It picks up right where the last book left off. Like literally
but it's called It
like
Starts With Us.
10 minutes after. Yeah, I don't know where
I feel like she probably didn't think about that, and then she announced it and was like, "Oh,
or maybe when she announced it, she didn't actually know what the book was going to be yet
see, I do that when I title my essays."
because she literally just finished writing it like a couple months ago.
Oh, that's probably why she didn't send us an advance copy.
Yeah.
They didn't exist yet. That makes sense. I feel better now. I
Mm-hmm.
feel not as bad. And speaking of bad, that leads us to our next content recap, which I just watched myself for the very purpose
Oh.
of this Zoom, of this
Mm.
podcast. So you're welcome. It was also a tactic to get me to stay up to 1 a.m., which was our recording time. Unfortunately, it was the least effective way to stay up because I have to say, spoiler alert, it was very boring.
Yep.
It would put you to sleep if you needed it to. I had to fight against my will
The first
to
three
stay
quarters
awake.
are boring. Like you could have made that 20 minutes.
I had the exact same number in my head, and the movie we are talking about is not House of Gucci, although it very well could have been. It is, Kata, would you like to tell the people?
Don't worry, darling.
Now, if you're sitting at home thinking, do I watch this movie or do I not? Darling, I would just keep worrying. I don't it's not worth it.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I am not a movie person. I do not understand the cinema. So maybe like if you're like a movie critic, you might have liked it because from what I've heard, um, people really like Florence Pugh, Miss Flo. People
See,
have really liked her performance, and I thought she was really good.
here's the thing with the movie critics. I feel like I'll watch a movie and I'll be like, that was the best. I go to Rotten Tomatoes and it literally has like 9%. And this is a direct experience. The Cinderella story with Hilary Duff, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, one of the best movies of all time. I'm going to
So
put it
good.
in the category of Cat in the Hat, the live action Cat in the Hat. One of
Waiting for You was like waiting for rain in this drought.
Rain
Useless and disappointing.
exactly. Like any movie you can quote 15 years later is of a certain ilk. But I go to Rotten Tomatoes and it's literally at 11%. So I know not to trust these people. And then there's some movies where I watch and I'm like, that was terrible. Like my life is worse for having watched this. And it's like 93. So I don't trust the movie industry. I also feel like I don't get credit for the fact that I pretty much invented movies. I get how you could be confused at that as I am, a lot younger than the amount of years that the movie industry has been a thing. But I want to say about 6 months ago, I was like, you know what? I really like TV shows.
Oh,
This is me thinking in my head.
I remember
I
this.
really like TV shows, but like I just wish they were shorter. Like I almost wish they had instead of 6 episodes, it was just one episode. But that episode was maybe not like 45 minutes, but maybe closer to like an hour and a half, maybe closer to 2 hours. Hmm. Someone should invent that one day.
Hmm.
I wonder what that would be called. We could call it a shloovy. Very similar to the time that I invented the library. I was like, man, you really only read books once. So there should be a place where you can go and just rent books. And like maybe it could be like government funded, so it's free. And you go like maybe you get like a little piece of plastic with your picture on it, and then you scan it at the self-checkout machine
You're really good at thinking of ideas that
that
already
already
exist.
exists. That's why I would get to Shark Tank and be ready to make my millions and find out that it's a great idea because someone thought of it 10 years ago and made their millions. So anyway, enough about me. Back to my thoughts on Don't Worry, Darling. Um, Actually, you explain your experience. What made you want to see it? I know you saw it in theaters.
So I went with my cousin and her boyfriend because the boyfriend is a huge like movie junkie, like a movie critic, like theater person.
Yeah. The theater, Miss Davis.
My cousin just loves going to the movies. She loves popcorn and candy. And
I'm
me,
both those people.
I went because I love Harry Styles.
Yeah. Just be honest. Yeah.
That's the only reason I went. If he was not in that movie, I probably would have never had any interest in seeing it. That man will can get me to do anything.
Okay. So I saw it again, as I said, for the purpose of this podcast, and I do have some thoughts. First, there was a frame of the movie that was extremely similar to that of a frame of Shrek 2. It was, okay, so anyone that's seen Shrek, this is not a
Explain.
spoiler. Anyone that's seen Shrek 2, when they get to the town, like I guess like they get to the downtown of Shrek 2,
Mm-hmm.
and they have like it's not even like a specific shot, but it's um like just the downtown where they have like the flag poles and they're like entering and like Funky Town is playing, and Donkey's like, "You're working that hat." Like it just the town that they were in looked like the town in Shrek 2. This is gonna make sense to like maybe two other people. I'll actually put this I actually will do. I'll put a screenshot of both of those and compare them because I think they stole some of the cinematography from Shrek
I
2.
want to see this because I actually recently rewatched Shrek
No, I know,
2.
and I think that's why I was in there. Okay, second thought I had. There was a few instances of ASMR that,
Mm,
again, as we talked about in the beginning, was not something that
not
I was involved in. It just didn't happen with my brain. But remember when she was squishing the eggs?
mm,
It was a lot of ASMR. I think they were trying to distract us from the fact that, well, it felt like the movie had been going on for 48 minutes at that point. It had been 17. I literally checked like the timing thing at the bottom of my screen and I was like, how are we 17 minutes in?
yeah.
Also, I'm just gonna say it. Before you get to the 25-minute mark, there are like three semi-graphic suggestive scenes.
Yeah.
You don't see any parts, which is nice. Like they don't go full
It's
HBO.
tasteful.
It is tasteful, but it's like very, very excessive to the point that I was like, okay, there has to be a reason. You know what I mean? Like there has to be a reason that this act keeps happening. Like I
Oh,
thought,
actually, I think when they were promoting it, like the director Olivia Wilde was like, it's about female sexuality and like women, woo, like
right, but no,
feminism.
no, but like I thought it was like I don't want to spoil anything, but I thought that there was like a reason where that needed to happen in the context of the movie and the twist at the end. I
Mhm.
thought like I don't even do you know like
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like I thought I can't say anything without spoiling it. Like I thought we would get an explanation.
Oh, no, that was the thing. You never got an explanation.
Like you had to figure it out. Like you had to be smart to understand this twist, and I wasn't smart. And I don't know if they just wanted
Well, here's the thing. I
Yeah,
actually just read, and by read I mean saw a TikTok
yeah.
that there was actually a alternate ending, like the original ending to the movie was different.
Maybe we'll do a spoiler alert at the end, and just and we can talk about the twist because yeah, the twist was never explained, and even the ending itself was never explained. And when a movie does that, I think two things. I think one, they did that as, a creative choice, or two, they just themselves couldn't figure out an ending, so they thought we'll just make it vague, and maybe we can seem smart. Are you texting?
Hmm.
Yeah,
I can multitask.
you can multitask. That's fine. Also, I have to say the whole thing was giving me Scientology vibes.
Yeah.
They seem to be in a cult. Do you want to just explain, like, kind of what it's about? We probably should have done that at the beginning, but this is our first movie review.
Like, how do you even describe this movie?
So basically, it's about you're following this couple. It's Harold and Florence Pugh, who I have to say the only other movie I saw her in was Midsummer, which was it's like kind of like a horror movie, but it was like
Hmm.
really graphic. Um, and it was just like to quote the great Kiki Palmer, it's been hard for me to watch a movie of hers since seeing that movie. It's just a little bit like too much because I remember like there were literally people falling off cliffs in that movie for no reason. It was bad. This is Midsummer, not Don't Worry, Darling.
Darling.
So even going into it, I was quite worried. So I felt like the title was really speaking to me. But it's these people who, again, nothing is really ever explained. So you're just meant to believe that they live in like Palm Springs, very coastal grandmother. Everyone drives like the same type of car but in a different color. They have the same type of house but in different shades. Um, and you're pretty much for the first three-quarters of the movie, it's just the trailer expanded on. It's just like the main girl is realize or the main woman is realizing something is not right about this town. There's like this
It's a
main
little too
guy.
perfect.
It's a little too perfect. There's like this main guy who keeps talking about we're building stuff for the future. And every day the men go off to work, but like the women at home don't know what they're working on. They can't talk about it. It's very secrety. And again, this sounds vague, not because I'm bad at explaining stuff, which I kind of am, but that's actually
But
not the reason. That this is
yeah.
this is what they give you. They give you nothing. You see her do like a pot roast every day. Then that's it. Like she vacuums and like weird stuff keeps flashing. There's like some sort of a whistleblower of this other lady.
Speaking of the whistleblower, people were upset that she got cut out of the movie so much because people were saying that Olivia Wilde's racist for doing it. She was one of, she might have been the
Like the
only
only,
black
yeah,
actor. The amount of drama
not it.
surrounding this movie.
But I think the documentary on the drama would be 10 times better than
Oh,
the actual
100%.
footage of this film. Like show me the behind the scenes.
100%.
So
Like, just look at
anyway,
the premiere. Like, that drama took over the internet.
also I have to say my favorite part of the movie was at one point they used music that was very similar to the SpongeBob music. Like, you know how SpongeBob has that like ba-doo ba-doo doo 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 doo. I don't even know what instrument it is, but it was a parallel to SpongeBob. So they involved Shrek and SpongeBob in one movie. So they kind of won me back. Um,
But did they?
but they didn't. Also, I couldn't tell the entire time if Harold Edward Styles was pretending to not have a British accent or was in fact just British in the movie. Now we find out at the end that he was British, but it is in such a way that was clearly only because he showed up to work day one and they realized, oh shoot, this guy can't do a British accent, or sorry, can't do an American accent to save his life. So let's add a couple throwaway lines that allow him to be British. Would you agree with that take as our resident Harry Styles expert?
See, there's so much conspiracy around his accent, like in real life. Like,
Wait,
people are
within the
saying,
movie?
no, within his real life, that, like,
Oh,
I don't know what in the movie was him actually putting on an accent and what was him being, like, normal.
actual. Okay, so we're just gonna do it. We're gonna rip off the band-aid. We're gonna do a spoiler alert. But let me tell you this before you click off. If you have not watched this movie, you can genuinely, and I know people say this about movies, and I'm always someone that's like, no, I'm gonna watch the full thing. Like if I'm gonna watch it, let's watch it. You can legitimately skip the first hour and a half. It's just
Oh,
the trailer.
100%.
Like I promise you, like it's just Florence Pugh walking around, living her life, and like every couple scenes realizing that something's wrong. Like that's all it is. Like I promise you. Probably one of my least parts, like least favorite things people do in movies is when like the last half an hour is like
Mm-hmm.
nothing related to
Mm-hmm.
like the first hour and a half that they just made you watch. But I so just skip to that. Pretend it's a short film. Kata, would you like to explain what the reveal was?
So, spoiler alert.
And by what the reveal was, this is really like me asking you your interpretation because again, we are never told explicitly.
Harry Styles is actually an incel who has not kidnapped, but sort of his wife. And they live in the modern world in the 21st century, not the 1950s. And he has
Which
put
I knew from
her,
the beginning. I was like, this is not real.
and he found this like program where you can basically like hook up yourself and your wife and or girlfriend or just girl you like because she will end up being your wife in the thing, and you get like transported into this alternate reality where it's the 1950s and all the women do is cook and clean and go to ballet class, and the men every day leave this beautiful alternate reality and go work.
Okay, but is there work like being the
No, the
nurse
work.
to the wife in the real life?
Well, no, they have to actually like, go to work in the real world so they can get money to sustain this. Like they need electricity, they need probably fluids to keep their bodies alive and like that. But this might be TMI. You might have to cut out this entire whole spiel
Yeah,
that I'm about to do.
yeah.
People are wondering, like, do the husbands like change the wives' tampons? Like, what do they do period wise?
I
Or
can
are they
guarantee
just
you the
so?
person that
Or
wrote
are
this
they
movie
just?
didn't think of that.
Or are they just so malnutrition? That's not a word, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
That they just
that's
don't
right.
get them.
That is an
Malnourished?
ex
That's
Melner.
the word. That's
I
the
didn't even
word.
notice that. It's
We both
2:11
have
a.m.
bachelor's degrees.
That is an excellent question.
I don't know. I read a lot of theories and like explanations after I watched it because I was kind of confused. Like I
Also,
knew
I
what
did
I thought, but I wanted to know what the world thought.
what the world thought because it's like is what I thought what the actual world thought. Okay, so basically all we're told in the movie or all we're shown in the movie is she somehow realizes this, like somehow figures it out in like graphic detail, like
Well,
figures out
it's from the electric shock therapy.
she gets electric shock there. But yeah, because when the town realizes that like she's sort of figuring stuff out, they send her
Mm-hmm.
to what I thought was to get a lobotomy. Apparently, they give her electric shock therapy, but then it doesn't work. And then you find out that her friend, who's also like a wife
Mm-hmm.
in the town, like also knows. And again, like don't blame us for making this sound confusing. This is what we got to work with. Like this is what the movie gods presented to us. Like this is what we're left to work with. Basically, at the end of the movie, she does get out, I think, or does she? I interpreted it as her getting out.
Yeah.
The main problem is they just didn't expand enough. Like they should have made the first hour and a half 20 minutes and then the last 20 minutes an hour and a half and like actually had answers to these questions
Agreed.
because it really made no sense. So I unfortunately have to give um Don't Worry Darling like maybe like 2.6 um
Ooh.
out of 5. Maybe 2.8 because it's not a 3. It's not a fail. Like it's not bad. Well, I know it is bad, but it's not like bad in that way. But it's just long and boring. You know what? Maybe okay, do you know what? I've changed my tune. 2.3 out of 5. 2.3. How about you? Okay, maybe 2.5.
Like I can see how it was like a good movie, Like
But it was not a movie
well
that
done.
actually is a movie that you could watch as a movie in the theaters. That's a movie. It's not like a real, Harry described it as a movie, like a real movie that you go
Well,
and
see, no,
watch in the cinema.
watching it in the cinema with like the surround sound and the big screen, like it was probably better than you watching it on your crusty dusty like 2006 MacBook.
Actually, I have to say the sound was good. There was a couple times where I guess they wanted it to sound like a sound was coming from behind you,
Hmm.
and I actually believed it. I like paused my laptop and was like, "What the hell?" And that's again on my crusty dusty laptop and headphones that I've put through the washing machine more times than I can count. So with the experience of watching it as a movie, a real movie, what would you like to give it?
I would also say 2.5.
2.5. I'm glad we're
Like
decided.
I like there is a certain genre and style of movies that I like, and that was not it.
But it could have been. I think it just like
Yeah.
it had
But
potential.
Florence Pugh is amazing. Like watching her in Little Women. Mwah. Have you watched Little Women?
No.
No.
No, no. Do not be alarmed. Your device has not malfunctioned. This is no technical difficulty. I am just here to tell you that unfortunately, this week's episode has come to an end. Now, this is not the end of our conversation with our special guest, but it's the end of this week's episodes. We'll see you next week for part two. Appreciate the listen. Remember, podcast nobody asked for this podbean.com. Follow us on social media. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.